Hi everyone, so here I am again, and I was just leading up to my revelation, or my answer from the little bit of rage that I had with God and demanded that he sort it out. It appears that I was answered, and I guess I was in darkness really, and he sent his only son to bring me the light, and the light of truth, which I feel completely blessed by. But then, of course, says that we lose this knowledge by desire to be separate from God, and we can only have it given back to us by our desire. And so I must have had this intense desire within me to call forth this experience. And people say, yeah, but it's still an illusion, and it's still part of the illusion. It might have been an illusion and still part of the illusory world, but it still was part of the storyline, the parable of Sally Ann, and it was amazing, and I was lifted out of this world anyway. God can do anything, and if he has to meet me where I'm at, he meets me where I'm at. And I mean, people can say what they like about the experience, and they can deny it, but it doesn't make any difference. You know, it happened in the storyline of Sally Ann, and it was the most awesome experience of my life, and it changed my life forever. So to me, it was beautiful, and really, there's only one of us here, and of course, the entire experience is for everyone. So it didn't just happen in my mind. What happened is for everyone, you know, and what came from it is for everyone. It's for the healing of the mind, and it's for the entire sonship. So I'm not under any illusions about that. I'm not under any illusions that just because I had this experience that I was healed with the flash of a wand. So I don't hold that illusion either. What I'll go into is the actual experience. So I'd climb the stairs, and I'd come into my bedroom, and I was guided towards the window, and I looked out at the sky at night, and it was like I was seeing the sky for the first time ever. The sky was like this deep, rich, intense dark blue. It was like a velvet backdrop, and the stars were like diamonds, and I'd never seen such intensity or such beauty in my life. And even now I come to bed at night and look out the window and try and recapture that, but it's just not the same. But you know, that particular night, it was awesome, and I was just mesmerized. And I have to say, at the time it was all going on, there was just complete peace. There was no mind stuff going on. I wasn't trying to figure anything out. I was just the observer, if you like, watching it unfold. And I looked out. Well, after I'd seen the beauty outside, I thought, and I felt revitalized and not that tired anymore. I'm going to lie on my bed with the curtains open and just stare out at these stars twinkling, because it's so beautiful. And I was just mesmerized, and I was lying there on my bed, staring out, and all of a sudden I saw this orb of light. It was about the size of a tennis ball, and it was just pure white light, and it was like doing a dance in the dark sky, just dancing around, doing this little merry little dance. Of course, I was lying in a darkened bedroom, all the lights were out, and I was just chilling out on the bed, and my eye caught this sphere of light, and as my eye locked onto it, it stopped dancing, and it was as if this thing knew that it had my attention, and so it started to move in a straight line towards my window, and it passed through my window as if it wasn't even there, and then it was in the room with me, and it went across the room until it come in front of my face, and I was completely mesmerised. There was no mind stuff, just an observation, and I watched it go right across the other side of the room, and it hit this full-length mirror I've got in the room, and as it hit the mirror, this sound just went whoosh, and then that whooshing sound, my entire room was lit up in Christ white light, and it shone the darkness away. There was no darkness, so just this intense white light, and I struggle really to put this into meaningful words. I mean, I try and share with you, but I just get all tongue-tied when I even try. I mean, the Course of Miracles says that revelation is personal to the mind that receives it, and it can't be translated with words. Then it does go further on to say that although it can't be shared, the truths that come from it and the attitudes that arise from it must be shared. So yeah, I just get into that state of awe. But in the whoosh sound, whoosh, and the flashlight sound, the light that came, it was like, I always describe it as, you know, when you're in the theatre and there's a veil that's lifted, or a curtain, and then you see a new set, and it happens really quickly, and then you've got your new set. Well, this is what seems to have happened to me, but there was no witnessing of the veil being lifted or the curtain going up. It was just in the instant of the whoosh of light, whoosh, the new set was there. And I don't know what happened, but whether I was lifted up out of this world or whether a curtain veil was lifted, I don't know. But all I know is that in the instant of that whooshing light, there was a new set, and I never saw it happen. I must have blinked and missed it, but at my bedroom door there was this humongous column of light, massive. It was just there, like guarding the door, and then I seemed to be aware of still being in the sitting position, and I noticed afterwards that this was February, and it was when we had all that snow, and we didn't have any heating in the house, and there was about 2 foot of snow outside, and it was really, really cold. And I actually tend to feel the cold a lot, but there I was sat upright on my bed, and I was actually naked, apart from my bottom half where the quilt was covered, but there was no sensation of being cold, no sensation of being hot, no sensation of any discomfort of any sort. There wasn't even an awareness, if you like, of the body, and so it was just weird. I don't know what had happened, but there I was, and in front of me now, it felt like I was still sitting in this sitting position, but I was in not in my bedroom. I was in a meadow, and there was these trees in front of me. And this is like not a meditation. I'm not meditating. My eyes are wide open here, and this is happening to me. I mean, I've not been on drugs or alcohol or medication, and this is just happening. It's just unfolding before me. So I'm in this meadow, and there's like a wall of green foliage before me, and I could hear rustling, and it was as if somebody was walking through the trees towards me. And then Jesus just appeared out of this wall of foliage, and he stood before me, and he had this there was an instant recognition, and I knew who it was, and it was like, there's no mind stuff going on like, who is that? It was just, there was a knowing. It was a complete knowing. And he had these white robes on, flowing to the ground. He had these luminescent skin, eyes like sapphires, and the smile, it could just melt the hardest of hearts. And he just held out his hand, and his palm was upright, and he said, come unto me, my child, for I have been waiting. And I remember, I mean, I'd never been the type to attack people, and I certainly wouldn't attack Jesus, but all this sort of rage seemed to come up, and it seemed to rise in me. And then my mouth opened, and all this venom sort of poured out, and I just went, waiting, you've been waiting. Well, I've been in hell, and where were you? So, Jesus never batted an eyelid. He just stood there with his beautiful smile, continued to hold out his hand. And he said to me once again, come unto me. And with that, I felt this shift. I can't even, it's like the spirit, or the true self, it just shifted up and out of this body, and it was phenomenal. It was much bigger than the body, and it just seemed to just shift out and expand out, and it went to meet Jesus. And there was just this, we just bear hugged, put our arms around each other, and we just bear hugged, and it was this, oh man, I just can't put into words. The feeling, it's intense, tense recognition. It's like I became one with the Christ, and but I knew I was in the presence of the Father, and the joy, the happiness, the love, is nothing comparable to it in this earthly existence. Nothing. And I can't even begin to say how it felt, because I just get tongue-tied. I just can't do it. It's just so phenomenal. But in the instant that happened, I knew who I was. I knew where I was, who I was. I was everything, you know, and I was one with God. And you know, the funny thing was, there was no memory of this world. Not a single memory of this world. Not of Sally Ann, not of the bedroom, not of nothing.